Good evening, all.
Good evening.
I'm Steve Willis, co-founder of Hope Sheds Light. On behalf of my partners and co-founders Arvo Prima and Ron Rossetto, we welcome you to our Finding Hope for Life Family Support Group. It's always a joy to see everybody return, and thanks for those of you who are new to us. I'll tell you a little bit about Hope, and thank you all from Facebook that join us regularly. It's a joy to have you. Thank you. So, for those of you that are just joining us at first, let me tell you about Hope. Hope is a nonprofit organization. Our mission is to raise awareness and educate individuals and families and the community about the impact of addiction by having the courage to share our personal experiences, by sharing wisdom and strength, and by offering hope and resources that lead to the long-term recovery of the whole family. Hope is about the whole family. What we want to do is to remove the fear and stigma that surrounds the disease of addiction by offering a safe and loving environment that allows families to heal and brings wellness to the community. And we do that through these Finding Hope for Life family support meetings. Right now they're meeting the second and fourth Tuesday of every month in the Holy Cross Lutheran Church right here in Toms River. The meeting's open to anyone and everyone that's impacted by addiction, or those who just want to learn more. We want you to know that you're not alone and that a loving, supportive environment exists for you, because we need to do this together. The hope is that by us sharing with you and you with us, you'll change the way you think and feel about addiction and in turn become healthy. So that's what we do. Hey, you. The first part of these meetings is an educational part. We have wonderful, talented colleagues that come and join us, and they speak about 45, 50 minutes about some aspect of disease, prevention, treatment, recovery. And then we break out into groups to share what we've heard and how it can help us become healthier. It's a good time. For those of you that are looking at us on Facebook, you need to join us here. You'll see how important and powerful this thing is. So again, for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. We're glad you're here. Hey, anybody heard about the 5th annual celebration of Hope Walk we have? Did you hear about it? Have you signed up for it? I hope so, because it's going to be a rocking good time. It is on September 8th in Seaside Heights. So the information is on our website. If anybody wants to sign up tonight, you can. We build teams. The whole purpose of our efforts year after year, and it grows bigger and bigger, is to celebrate recovery. We'll let other people talk about all the problems and the sadness that comes from addiction and the impact on the family. We want to show what recovery looks like, and we're good at it. And the more people we have that join us, the more powerful this organization becomes, but most importantly, the greater ability we have to help heal the community here and beyond. So find out more information and join us, okay? And with that, let me introduce Lindsay, who will introduce our speaker tonight.
Thank you so much, Steve. Steve is always so talented in sharing very wonderful information, and just the way he delivers it is amazing. So I want to welcome everyone here tonight, but I also want to welcome our speaker. I'm going to keep it simple. We have Kevin. He's here on behalf of Surfside Recovery.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name's Kevin, and I am a recovering alcoholic. Thanks for being here tonight. I appreciate it. Hope Sheds Light. It's always an honor to come here. I found it an important part of my recovery to come here, to share my experience with the families. Often families aren't quite sure what to do, what's happening, and their loved ones aren't willing to share that. I know at the time I wasn't willing to share it. I did damaging things to my families. So it's important for me to be here. But with that, as I said, I'm a recovering alcoholic. My sobriety date is June 24th, 2016. That is the day that really I surrendered. That's the day that I stopped fighting it, that I gave it all up, and I went full force into the recovery community and program. But it took me many years to get to that point. It's briefly qualify my childhood, it was a childhood. I'm not going to go into great details on that. I honestly didn't start drinking until end of high school, early college. I just didn't drink. It's just something I didn't do due to family. They talk about the steps, and I was powerless over alcohol. I always saw that I was powerless, and actually it took me a while to realize how powerless I was. It wasn't even, it was before I picked up a drink, how powerless I was because of family members, things like that. Because of that, I didn't want to drink. I had a resentment with, I'll be honest, with my father, because he drank and I didn't like the way he acted, so I stayed away from alcohol. My resentment, my anger kept me away from alcohol for a long time. But then my ego started playing into it because, you know, I wanted to be better than everyone. I had to be better than everyone. So I decided I'm better than him and I can drink. Little did I know where that would lead me to. So, you know, at the beginning it was fun. It was parties. It's, you know, everyone would drink. This is what you do. You hang out with friends, you drink, you know, you blow off steam. That's what you do. But slowly, and I'd say even quickly at the end, it's all I knew was how to drink. Is that I couldn't stop because I was hanging on to that ease and comfort that I got from a drink. I was looking for the answers in the bottom of a bottle. Is that it was a very sad existence. Is that I would wake up miserable. You know, the only thought in my mind is maybe if I drink, that will make it better. Drinking, you know, never made it better. Just made it worse. I would lie. I would manipulate. I would do everything I could just so people would leave me alone. I say it's important for the families because my family saw me destroying myself. I couldn't see it. It was a delusion for me. I didn't see what I was doing. I didn't see how I was hurting others, how I was hurting myself. I couldn't see it. This was just life for me. This is how, at the time, a 20-year-old is supposed to live. You know, through my 20s, that's how I thought. You know, it's normal for kids in their 20s to go out and drink every night. You know, just party. That's what it was. But I couldn't see that. My family saw it, and I just wouldn't believe them. And it was through that that eventually my family stepped in to my disliking, that I started going to detoxes, rehabs, things like that. At the beginning, you know, detox, and one of the first detoxes I went to, they served lobster there. It was a great place, let me tell you. I couldn't get lobster, and my wife will tell you that, you know, when she found out I was sleeping on a nice bed, had lobster, she was upset. I should be sleeping on a cot outside in the rain. That's how terrible I was to her. That's how terrible I was to everybody. But I couldn't see what the purpose of the detox was. They wanted me to stop drinking. I couldn't see that. I couldn't agree with that. In the detox, I would go there, go to groups, listen to what they had to say. I would come out, you know, oh, see, I got this. I don't need a drink right now. A couple days later, I'm drinking. And the progression was there. It's every time I stepped away from the drink, I came back as if I was making up for lost time. Is that I could put some time together, but I was powerless over alcohol. Once I started drinking, I could not stop. I would drink until I passed out. I would drink until, unfortunately, I would run out of alcohol. That was God's way of stopping me drinking at that moment, is that the liquor stores were closed, couldn't get packaged goods anywhere. I would do anything to try and get a drink at the end of the night, just wouldn't work. That was God's way of stepping in. But, so next day I would wake up, you know, as a lot of people do, praying over the toilet, shaking, whatever the case was. I would say, I'm not drinking today. I don't want to feel like this tomorrow. A couple hours later, starting to feel a little better. Guess what I would do? I'd go and get a drink. Sometimes I'd make it until 5 o'clock in the evening until I got out of work. Sometimes I wouldn't. Sometimes it would be at noon. You know, sneak off during my lunch break, have a drink. That's what it was. That was the obsession, is that I just kept drinking. Once I stopped drinking, I could not stay stopped. Is that I would just continue drinking. And it was finally that delusion when my walls started breaking down, went to a rehab. All of it was never for me. It's because others were telling me you need to stop, you need to slow down on your drinking. Me being a manipulator, I tried to appease them. I would go to rehabs, I would learn things. There were glimpses of hope in there, you know, oh, maybe they're right, maybe they have this. And that's when the delusion slowly started fading. And it became denial. That's what it was. It's that at this point now I know I have a problem, but I just won't admit to it. Is that it's not that bad. Now I started comparing to everyone. Well, look at this friend of mine, you know, he's got DUIs. Look at this friend, he's kicked out of his house. No, I'm still good. I can still drink the way I want. I haven't lost anything. Well, it didn't take long before I started losing things. And it was, I don't know, my third or fourth time going to a rehab, once again trying to appease someone. I got out of it and I thought I had it. Boy, was I mistaken. At the rehabs, you know, it's great. Is that I started learning about myself, all my triggers, all these things, but it was a protected place for me. So that there was no alcohol. I couldn't get alcohol if I wanted it. And that was great. It cleared my mind a little bit. It let me center on myself and find out a lot about myself. and teach me some tools that, you know, and a lot of suggestions that once I was out of rehab, I didn't listen to any of that because, once again, I know what I'm doing. My willpower stepped back in and, you know, I could do this. I don't need them. What do they know? Looking back at the people in rehabs, well, these are people that court told to go there. Court didn't tell me to go there. I chose to go there. I voluntarily went there. That's what I'm telling myself, even though my family's forcing me to go in there. Otherwise, I'm gonna lose my house, or I'm gonna get kicked out of the house. My mom wants nothing to do with me. But I'm telling myself I voluntarily went to rehab. That's how my mind twisted. So, you know, I learn all these tools, I get out, and I take some of the suggestions. I do things, go to groups, IOPs, things like that. But it was all just check marks. It was graduations. It's, well, you have to do 3 months of IOP. Okay, I can do that. It's, I can accomplish anything I put my mind to, apparently. So 3 months of IOP. It's, they do urine tests, all this stuff. Oh, I'm fine for 3 months. I didn't even make it 24 hours after graduating an IOP before I went out and drank again. Because I graduated. Oh, that means I have this. Gave me a nice little pamphlet, good job, you're cured. Well, that's not the case. I suffer from an illness of body, mind, and spirit. And I have to realize that it's an illness that can't be cured. That's why when I said I'm a recovering alcoholic, I will forever be a recovering alcoholic. There's no cure for it. If I don't do what I need to do every day, it will come back. It will sneak back one way or another, and I will probably go out and have a drink. So, going back to my story, rehabs aren't working. It finally, last week of my life was drinking heavily every day, all hours of the day, get escorted home from work because I was drunk on the job. I, had the police called on me because I was being ridiculously drunk in the street. Police showed up and decided, you're a danger to yourself and others, and bring me to a psych ward. One of the skills I have is that once I sober up, I'm a very good talker, and I can convince people that I'm fine. I can manipulate a situation. I can manipulate a situation to the point that, honestly, I could punch someone in the face, twist it in a way that they apologize to me. So, I go to a psych ward, they sedate me, I'm strapped down to a bed. Next morning, I wake up, I'm happy, cheerful, oh man, what a bad day, convince them to let me out. It was about 4 hours later, I'm drunk again. And honestly, my wife was worried for me, so called the same police officers. They show up at the door. I go back to that psych ward. 2 days in a row. Once again, they sober me up during the night. I sit there, I come out. Same doctor walks in and goes, Kevin, it's not often that we see someone 2 days in a row. I said, it's been a rough week. Make something of it. They let me out. You think I would get it at this point. They release me, discharge me, whatever you want to call it. I get out. I don't call anyone. I don't call my wife. I'm not looking for a ride. I'm done. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I want to do. I leave. I start walking down the street. I have money in my pocket. I pass a liquor store. Guess what I do? I drink again. I get drunk again. And at this point, I get drunk to the point, and in my mind, it's just like, I'm done with everyone. I'm leaving. I've had enough. I don't want to do this anymore. And by act of God, powers of the universe, or whatever it is, in my drunken state, I drove myself to a detox. Shouldn't have been driving, but in that moment, somewhere in there, I gave it all up. I thought I was giving it up on that I was leaving everybody and had enough. I had that brief moment of clarity. I drove myself to a detox, walked in crying, and said, I need help. I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And they took me in. I was there for a couple days. At this point, I finally want to stop. I finally see it. I accept what I am. I want to stop drinking. I don't want to live this way anymore. I am begging and pleading to go to a rehab. Months ago, before that, you couldn't get me to go back to rehab. I'd rather die than go to a rehab. Here I am crying, begging, pleading to go to a rehab. My insurance company decides, you don't need that, you need an IOP. That was not acceptable to me. I've done IOPs, it did not work for me. You leave me out there, I'm going to do something crazy. I did not trust it. Then once again, just the universe putting its hand out and, helping me out, got me in touch with a guy down south who just opened up a sober living home, took me in. And from there, One of the rules of living there is get a sponsor, you do charity work, you go to groups, you do all that. I listen to them. I'm willing and ready to do it at this point. Get a sponsor, start working this 12 steps. I finally realize how powerless I am. It all starts coming to me. I see how manageable I am. You know, I have a belief that something greater than me can restore me to sanity, because I was absolutely insane. I like to envision what I was doing for years as I was in quicksand. I knew I started sinking, but I kept struggling. I kept trying to do it my way. And it's by doing it my way, I just kept sinking deeper and deeper. The only way to get out of quicksand is I have to stop doing what I'm doing and reach out. And there was a hand there willing to pull me out of that quicksand. And I was blessed by that. So now I'm working the steps, so came to believe, and then I found that, I have to make a decision to turn my will and my life over. And it had to be explained to me exactly what that meant. Belief and faith, I'm Catholic, I've always believed in God, I just didn't think he believed in me. Somewhere along the lines I thought he forgot about me. I don't know why I thought that, I just thought, if he's all powerful, why is he making me suffer like this? And it's not that he was making me suffer, it's I was doing everything to myself. It's he would put the door in front of me, here's your answer to get help, and I'm jumping out the window. That's how ridiculous I was. I couldn't see that though. It's very simple, the belief and faith was taught to me, there's a light switch in the room. When you look at a light switch, you believe it turns on a light. All right, that's the belief part of it. The faith is me actually turning on the light, walking over and hitting that switch. That's the action. I had to do the action. And it was working with my sponsor that I finally started digging down into myself. Looking at my fears, my resentments, where I was selfish, my conduct towards others. And just looking at all that, as scary as that was, it started to click. I started seeing things. As I mentioned earlier, one of my biggest resentments, and I didn't know it until going through the steps. Like at the time, I didn't realize I didn't drink because of my father, and then I drank because I wanted to be better than him. I didn't see that until I worked the 12 steps. And I saw that resentment there. I was letting someone else control me like that. I saw the fears of when I was in high school, I always had to be the best at everything. Even when I was in college, always wearing a mask because I needed to fit in with everybody. I never knew who I truly was. It's that everyone was my friend, but no one was my friend because I was always just bouncing group to group. Because I didn't know who I was, but I needed to please everybody. I just needed that affirmation that, guess what, everyone likes Kevin. Because that's what my ego needed. I needed that love. And then I realized doing a 4th step and then sharing it in a 5th step with my sponsor, breaking it all down, it was the fear of not being good enough. My fear of not being good enough drove my life. Everything I did, it's always trying to be better, always trying to be the best. It's because if I'm the best, guess what? I'm better than everyone. There's my ego stepping in again. That's not the case. I just have to be as good as I am for me, what makes me happy. And it took me a little while to realize that. But I am happy today because of realizing all this. And then, the steps continue. Do a 6 and 7, realize my character defects. And then, I ask my God to help remove those. And my defects of character at this point change day to day. Where I fell short yesterday may be where I do well today. It comes day to day, and I just have to recognize where I fall short every day. If I harm anyone, make an amends to that. But it's continuing every day, making those improvements. It's what I have to do. It's how I like to live my life now. I share with my wife, I share with my family, I share with colleagues at work. If I get frustrated with them, I walk away, cool off a second, and I'm there apologizing. I didn't mean to, get overheated with that and explain myself, and then we talk it through and we move on. In the past, I would be angry, walk away, and I'd be angry for weeks. They don't even know why I'm angry anymore. But I'm angry. And it's hard to live that way. It really was. And working the steps really helped me see that. So then the big part of the steps, everyone, not that any part is bigger than the other, but making amends. It's now that I know where I was falling short over the years, it's going out and sitting down with these people and saying, it's making that list. So with my sponsor, I made that list, and that's just the first part of it. Make that list of who I need to make amends to. Second part is being willing to do it. So the action part of it. So made the list, I didn't want to talk to half the people on the list. Well, I was forced to, because if I don't, I'm still going to live with that fear, guilt, shame, whatever is inside of me. I need to let that go. I need to put it out into the universe. Some people that I made amends to, they just shook my hand, said, great, okay. Some didn't even realize you had a problem. It's like, well, I clearly must not have been around you that much. But and then others, it's asked for forgiveness from them, and they couldn't forgive me because of the damage that I did. And I have to live with that. The only way I can make that better in my mind and with my higher power is just to do the right thing as best I can. Do the right thing for the right reasons. And that's how I live my life. So then, part of that, continuing with the steps, it's do it every day. 10 and 11, prayer and meditation. I wake up every morning, I meditate and I pray. I ask for direction for the day. What I'm gonna do. I set goals, a couple goals, just simple ones that just bring me through the day. And that's how I carry it through. Sometimes I don't accomplish the goals, that's fine. I could do them tomorrow. It's just giving me direction. And a big part of it is always working my recovery, and that's helping others. It's so going through that, it's they say to help other alcoholics. I go beyond just other alcoholics. I help anyone I can. It doesn't have to be alcoholics. It can be family members. That's why I love coming here. It's to share my experience from it, because a lot of you probably have questions. If you're family members, if a loved one is struggling, I could tell you at the beginning when I was saying, being forced to go to rehabs, even though it was my choice, forced, that all of it was out of love, but I couldn't see that. The tighter they held on or pulled the leash in, trying to control me, the more I fought back. I had to make my own mistakes. They were always there, thank God, and I'm blessed to have family members in my life that were always there despite my antics and craziness. They tried. I'm sure they cried multiple nights, multiple days, just worrying about me, watching me destroy myself. And it was a horrible time for everybody. But as I said, helping others, that's what it comes down to. And that's why I love coming here for the families. It's to help others. So to explain, my experience, it's only my experience, but IOPs, yes, I learned a lot there. Rehabs, learned a lot there. But it's what I did with that information. I didn't quite see the whole picture. Some of that information, triggers at the IOPs and rehabs, I learned a lot of my triggers. So I avoided those, I stopped doing those things, and then unfortunately when the obsession returned that I wanted to drink because I was miserable, because I wasn't working on everything, I hid my triggers from my loved ones, because I knew what my triggers were now. They know what my triggers are. So I know what to look for, I know what to hide. It could be as simple as, I have a thing that I do dishes in the morning. Well, when I'm miserable, I don't do that. That's just a habit that I do. And it's little things that my wife would catch on to. And I would make sure that I did those certain little things, because then maybe it would delay her a little bit. It's me manipulating the situation again. But going through the steps, that's where I found the answer. I got that spiritual experience. Some people say it's, that ray of light comes shining down, burning bush, if you will. I've experienced many burning bushes, but that's due to my drinking, so I'm not going to get into burning bushes. It's another story in itself, but I love to share my aha moment, if you will. It wasn't that ray of light, it wasn't a booming voice from the sky. It was living at the sober living house. Everyone else was younger than me. I was the oldest guy in the house. And when I first moved in there, I really hated teaching these guys. Some couldn't make pasta. They didn't know how to do their laundry. These are things that I knew how to do, and I just didn't enjoy telling them how to do it. Slowly, I started helping them. They started learning how to do their laundry, learning how to cook dinner, because we had to make dinner for ourselves. Great experiences with that. But there's one day we all went crabbing, and we came back and we got all these crabs. No one knows what to do with it. Some of the guys have never even seen a crab before. We pour them in the sink, and I start showing them how to clean a crab. One of the guys looks at me and goes, "How do you know how to do all this? Who taught you to do this?" And that was my aha moment. My dad. He taught me that when I was younger. This man that I resented, this man that I blamed for so much, this moment was, wow, there it is. There's that love. And everything kind of flipped at that point. Where I would see hate, it was love. You know, it was like black and white, everything. It just changed my outlook. And I love to share my aha moment because it was as simple as that. As simple as sitting around a sink with a couple guys cleaning crabs that we just caught off in the bay behind the house that we lived at. And realizing that, you know, this resentment I had with my dad, you know, that was his thing. It's maybe he did what he did out of love, maybe it is what it is, but I don't have to hold on to it. I can live my life. I can move forward. I could share this love now that I have with others. And it's just a great experience that I have. So to wrap everything up, it's just the 12 steps. They truly did show me the way. It's with proper sponsorship, guidance. They helped me get to where I am today as a recovering alcoholic. And I am proud to say that I am a recovering alcoholic. Because it's through my experience that I could stand here knowing that love. Knowing what I've gone through, what I've done, and just accepting it, moving forward, and doing the right thing every day. And I can go to sleep at night after doing my prayers, after doing meditation, after reviewing what I did, put my head on the pillow, and I could sleep soundly. And wake up the next day just happy. Or at one point in my life, I dreaded waking up the next day. It's the last thing I wanted. Now I am happy to be alive every day, one day at a time, and every day is a blessing. Thanks for letting me share. I guess we open up for questions. Does anyone have any questions? Anything?
In terms of making amends, do you feel like you made amends to everybody you needed to, and how difficult was that for you to do?
It was very difficult. Once again, there's still a little ego in there, making amends to people, a lot of shame, guilt. I had a sponsor that drove me to places I didn't have a choice. But it's kind of a joke that I hear now and then. It's making amends maybe 20 years ago was a lot harder. God invented Facebook so I can make amends. It's very easy for me to find everyone in my life. It's everyone that I may have passed through, you know, it's where, it could be easy to say that, I don't know how to get a hold of them. Well, thanks to Facebook, Instagram, all these things, it's not that hard to find someone nowadays, so I can't even use that as an excuse. As I said, it was very tough. But after each one, good or bad, it was enlightening. Because some of it, when I would sit down, I would say, you know, what I thought I did. I would always ask, you know, is there anything I left out? Anything you would like to add? And it was a learning experience because a lot of times I would hear things back that I didn't even know I did. Here I am thinking, all I did was crash your car or something like that. And it would go to ridiculous levels like, well, yeah, you did that, but before you did that, this is what you did along a laundry list. It's like, oh, okay. But out of that, it becomes a learning experience because there are things that I didn't know about myself. So I take that and it's something I need to improve on. So that was my experience with the amends. And there are some that have chosen not to speak with me, and in time I'll reach back out to them and try again, and eventually there's other methods, writing letters, things like that. But damage I did for some people, they just don't want to see me. The pain is just too great for them, and I can't selfishly force that on them because I want to make an amends and make myself feel better. I can't force that on them. So when they're ready, I will be ready and waiting for them.
What do you do when you're idle to keep busy, keep your mind from wandering?
Idle time for me, boy. Didn't say it in there, but when I was struggling, I would do everything and anything. I would build things, tinker with things. I was always doing something, and when I stopped, guess what? I was stuck with myself. And they always say people, places, and things. Well, the people is me, the places is wherever I am, and the things are whatever I want to make of it. It's raining outside, you know, maybe I should drink. It's sunny out, maybe I should drink. But to truly answer the question, idle time is prayer and meditation. I learned to love quietness. In the morning, prayer and meditation, there's good apps for it, just background music. There's guided meditations. In the beginning, that was definitely my idle time. I needed that guidance. I needed to, hold myself accountable to that. Listen to this, it's 20 minutes long. That's idle time. I'm blessed to have a job, so during the day I'm working. In the evenings, it's typically I'm making phone calls. I call other people in recovery. I may not think I need to talk to them, but there's always that chance that I call them and they needed to talk to someone and they were afraid to call anyone. It's kind of that helping out thing. So it's just always being involved one way or another. That's why I'm here tonight. It's part of my involvement. If I start withdrawing from the world again, not sharing what I have, what I've learned with others, I'm being selfish. I was given this gift and I want to give it to others.
Are you a counselor with Surfside?
I am not a counselor. I was just a resident of Surfside. It's one of the original residents. Loved the place. As I said, I've had great experiences there. Still involved with them. Went on a camp out with the guys in the house a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago. Great time. I try to stay involved. It's a little south of here. I should be involved more often now that you mention it, now that I'm thinking about it. So there you go. It's one of those moments, but no, I'm not a counselor there. Just a happy member from it. Yeah. It's crazy how it worked out.
Thank you for sharing your experience, your strength, and your hope. How did you deal with or interpret? You mentioned before there are people you can help, who've gone through the process, and there's other people you can't help. When the people you try to help weren't really receptive to you, how did you deal with that, and how did you overcome that? Tough question, I understand.
It's a tough one because honestly, helping others, it doesn't always work out. I try to help them and they go and do their thing. And others, they stick around and they do what they want. And it was actually, and I've seen this in my experience, and I'm gonna steal it from a friend of mine who shared it about a month ago. And it was told to him, he goes, how many people have tried to help you? What did it take? 500, 400, whatever the number was. But it's each one of those people, especially for me, is that I was in and out of programs, IOPs, meeting all these people along the way. So to use the 500 number, there's probably 499 people in my life before I got it right at the 500, or at least got to this point with number 500. But each one of those prior to that made a little impact. They planted a seed. And that always stuck with me. Is that something someone said, their experience, although I'm still not getting it, it was still part of me. So when I try to help others, I may not be the one that gets them sober, gets them to do any steps, but hopefully I can impart something on them that maybe one day they'll come back. Oh, I remember when Kevin said this, he was right, or he made a good point with that, and that just keeps them coming back. Can't control the outcome of everybody as much as sometimes I would like to. This is the happiness, I want you to have it, take it, but I can't force it upon them. I can only, it's called Hope Sheds Light, I can only point them in the direction of the light. I can only show them the light. I can't bring them to it. Sometimes I'm in the darkness and I gotta point them towards the light, and there you go. It's up to them to go. So I just point the direction. Or was someone in the back?
Classify yourself as a happy drunk or an angry. And in your experience, meeting people, like I missed the first part, so you were angry at your father, I missed that part. In your experience with people that you meet, were the happy drunks more able to be like you and accept things more than the angry drunks? How does that work out personality-wise?
Personality-wise, happy drunk, angry drunk, I was a little bit everything. Depended on it. I used to think that, when I drank whiskey, it made me angry. That's what people say, but it really didn't matter. Sometimes I would drink wine, I would get angry. Drink vodka, it gets me angry. Other times I was just happy. It's hard to say happy, angry, drunk. I guess helping others, it's really just identifying the similarities. For me, it was damage done, you know, sometimes why I drank, why I thought my excuses for drinking were. And we just try to find common ground. There are people that, honestly, our stories are similar, but yet very different, and we just don't connect in that certain way. I've met those people. They've met me. Unfortunately, it's how I help them is, you know what, I wasn't like that, or I can't identify with that, but I know someone who can. And here, call this person, or meet this person. That's how I have to do it. It's because I share many experiences with people, I don't share all the experiences. So I have to recognize that, once again, that I can't be selfish and think I could save this person and try and mend it in to fit my view. So I make sure, once again, to point them in the right direction, or at least a direction sometimes.
When you say direction, do you mean like 12-step philosophy, or like do you think for long-term sobriety you need to be rooted in either like smart recovery or 12-step program, or what do you mean in the right direction?
I can only speak from my experience. A lot of the people I deal with, I say 12-step recovery is what got me here today. It's not that the others don't work. I'm not saying that in any way. I know people that went to rehabs and they got it. I know people that IOPs, they got it. People that use smart recovery, they get it. Everyone's a little different. I tried those other ones, they just didn't work for me. So I can't share that with other people. Like, I can't point them in the direction to do smart recovery that will work for you, because who am I to say that when it didn't work for me? As of today, 12 steps are what worked for me. So that's how I would say it. For me, it was going through the 12 steps. So hopefully that answers your question.
I'd like you to address a little bit, to the best of your ability, family. You know, you shared about your wife and a little bit about your dad, but are there some other extended family, and how they've not only been part of the years of your drinking or whatever, but also how they're dealing with it, you know, as part of the community of recovery.
So extended family? Yeah, so when you go outside of it, you know, it's so mom, dad, wife, sister, stepdad, you know, so there's the close-knit group that saw probably most of the damage. But as with most family members, you know, I'm only guessing here, but family members, well, they need guidance and they're reaching out to others. So now my problems are becoming even more, is that now it's going to my grandmother. It's going to maybe my aunts and uncles. Maybe they're seeing similar things and they're trying to identify with my cousins. It's very extensive when it comes to it. It's a lot of trying to figure out how to truly answer that question. It's complicated. So first I just looked at my initial family, but you know, after speaking with them, I could hear, especially after making amends, you know, my wife, well, when I upset my wife, she would call her mama. She would call her dad up because she didn't know what to do. So although maybe my drinking wasn't around her mom or her dad, indirectly I was bringing them into my chaos, into my nonsense. I was causing my wife pain, and then she was sharing that with them. That was causing them pain because look what I'm doing to their daughter. I'm the horrible person doing this to their daughter. So I had to recognize that, where I thought these people weren't even involved in my situation. They were. It affects the family on every side of it. So I guess hopefully that answered your question a little bit.
A little bit about now that you're in recovery. Do you see the effects of that already?
Yes, it's, I want to say my mother-in-law, she likes me very much. You know, she sees how I'm happy, free, and I like to believe she sees that my wife is happy. So that's a reflection on our relationship and how that goes. A great relationship with my sister, so my mom sees that, how that relationship was just thrown to pieces years ago, and she could see that. You know, I keep my mom in my life. It's just all part of the growth, and it's my actions that speak. It's sometimes, you know, it's a living amends is what they say. Sometimes I can't make a true amends to someone, so I have to live my life each day making that amends in one way or another. So it's the way I live my life, and they're just happy to see me happy, to put it simply.
Okay, so on the subject of family, as a family member myself, your family, your close family, were there anything when you were in active addiction that you could say was either helpful or harmful to you that pushed you either way? Like, did they detach, or did they enable, or did they, like, can you talk a little bit about how your family affected your wanting to get sober? Or did it, or did they have nothing to do with it?
They did. As I said, at the end, I surrendered. So I just stopped fighting. But prior to that, I always saw that they were there, is that they would push me. Just part of my story, I didn't have a wallet. I wasn't allowed to carry any money with me. I had to check in and do all this. All that did was make me more resentful. This is my experience. All that did was make me angry, because here I am as an adult. I can't even carry my own money. I got to check in. What am I, 10 years old again? Like, when's the last time I had to check in with someone? Oh, I'm here, I'm there. That made me resentful. And at the same time, it's my experience, it's when they backed off and just let me do what I wanted to do, it's now they don't love me. This is how crazy I was. Like, there was no right or wrong. I'm gonna be honest with you. For me, it just depended on the moment. There was no right or wrong. If they walked away and just kind of kept their distance, boy, they don't even care what I'm doing anymore. It truly was like that, and it's hard. All I know is, for me, at the end of the day, I know they love me, and they wanted what was best for me. They would try and do what they thought was best. Doesn't mean that's the right way, but it came from goodness. It came from love. So I don't hold any resentments for them. I was crazy, and it's hard to deal. I can only imagine what it was like to deal with me. So my advice to them is just, I think my mom and my wife told me one time, there was a group meeting, and it's just that they loved me, and if I needed them, they were there for me. And that's kind of just what I needed to know. I was trying to find my way, and they were there one way or another. So hopefully it's complicated for me. So,
Did your family or your wife go into any of the 12-step recovery rooms?
That is for them to say, but I'd say I was enough of a mess that they were looking for every solution. I'll say that everything was an option for them. They looked everywhere. There was no stone unturned trying to figure out what to do with me. So they had to learn their own path. Explain it that way.
This last time using, did you really know that you were done?
Did I really know I was done? No, the last time I drank, when I started drinking,
You drank, I put down in recovery, and this is not my first time, I think. And I truly feel like I'm done. But that is not the first time I felt like that. So I'm taking it day by day, and like in the past, like I was able to say, never ever gonna do that again. And now this time I'm taking it just for a day, I'm not gonna do that. One day at a time. I never want to say it ever again, because it's a new day.
Right.
And I want to break the day. And that you were able to say ever, were you able to say never ever going to do it again?
no, I don't like to say that, because just like you, I live for today. I don't know what tomorrow brings. All I can do is improve myself today in the best way that I can. Some days are better than others. I try to do the best I can today, because tomorrow may bring something that I'm not prepared for. I just need to prepare the best I can, working my program, my 12 steps, one day at a time. I can't put things down the road. I need to focus on them now. So The last day I drank, no. I drank and I was going to go run away and continue drinking. By act of God, I drove myself to a detox. And as I said, I surrendered. I just didn't want to do it anymore. That was my bottom. When I hit it, it was just take it all away, whatever you have to do. I was willing to lock me up, do whatever. I just don't want to do this anymore. And that truly was my bottom, that, living that way, or even if I was in a jail cell for whatever it was, that seemed like a better option. That's really where I was, a jail cell or a rehab tied to a bed. That seemed much better than what I was doing. And I don't think about it that often, but it's always good for me to remember that. And it normally comes up when I share. I remember that pain that I felt, that mindset that I had during that. So it's not never going to drink again. It's just by the grace of God for the next 24 hours, not today, as long as I do the right thing.
Do you mind instead of asking a question, can I just chime in on that?
I don't. Sure.
One of my biggest flaws, like the first couple times that I would be to rehab or whatever, is like when that confidence, like I got this. And this time around now, it's staying humble and realizing I have to not use in this moment. Because heroin is always going to be out there. I can always go back to it, but I don't want to. And the confidence is always within me. Always.
She said always out there. So a common thing I hear, and I don't like it that much, is that my illness, my disease is in the parking lot doing push-ups. That it's getting stronger, it's out there to get me. Fine, let it do that. As long as I work my program, I am staying strong. It's the most powerful thing I have to deal with, but as long as I am strong, I can make it through the day. And being strong is working with others, having a higher power for me. Just working the program every day. It's because once I stop doing all those things, once I stop calling people, once I stop working my program, it's not that my disease, my illness is getting any stronger, it's that I'm getting weaker. And it's when I get to that weak point that those thoughts start coming in. And once those thoughts are in there, for me, honestly, if those thoughts come in, it's probably too late for me. It's because all those things already added up to it. So I need to stay a step ahead of it. So continuing to work my program so I stay strong. It's like going to the gym. It's
About 4.5 months ago, I came here, met a few people that, helped me get sober, and you were one of them. You took the time to talk to me, gave me great advice, I remembered it. So, one, I want to thank you very much for helping me get sober. And my question is, since I've gotten sober, I enjoy talking to people that are coming into the program. How do you not let it bother you when you can't reach somebody? They don't want to talk to you, or you just know that they're there for the night and then they're going to go out and do whatever.
Well, thanks for that, and I'm happy to see you here. It means a lot to me. As I was trying to say earlier, all I can do is offer my hand. Just like when I was going through it, when I was in the quicksand, I had to put my hand out, and there was someone there waiting to pull me out. That's all I can do for them. It's when they're ready, I just need to make sure I'm there. That's from my side of it. Some people come in and out, they're not sure. And I remember I wasn't sure. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Did I belong there? Was I truly this? I was delusional, in denial, there was a lot going on in there. I found every reason to go, every reason to leave. It was a crazy time. So talking to the new people, those still struggling, it's just being there for them. Sometimes it's as simple as a smile. Just walking up to them, smile. They may want to know why you're smiling, It's as simple as that. Just make them feel welcome. That's what I do. That's what I try to do.
Kevin, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Kevin, so much for sharing and sharing a little piece of your family and everything that they've been through. That means a lot to us. Thank you very much. So with that, I'm going to encourage everyone to sign up for the walk and come out. We're going to end the Facebook post.